Netlord80 here again. Just wanted to do a video response to Prometheus73 and the points he brought up about heaven and hell and the nature of basically how you get there and the issues he brought up with why he has a hard time with it. One of the premises that the conclusions are based on I disagree with. Specifically, you make reference to heaven and hell being creations of God. Satan is also a creation of God. I do not believe that to be true. Heaven and hell, based on what I have seen and what I've read of the Bible, my understanding of it is that heaven and hell existed before, I don't know, at the same time as God, before our universe. One of the things to point out, the Bible specifically states that God created the heavens and the earth, referring to space, our universe, and the earth itself and everything on it. It didn't say anything about him creating heaven or hell. There are, granted, are different interpretations, and some of this I get a little fuzzy. I'm not sure about where the angels came from, whether they were there before, whether they weren't. I don't know. There's numerous explanations that you could come up from a scientific standpoint to try to explain things, but it would all be speculation, in all honesty. Which a lot of things that when people say God cannot exist, I mean, that again is speculation. There is no evidence to support that, and you actually mentioned that in another video you've done since then. Just a little late on getting this one done. But I believe the way you get to hell is not that it is a punishment. Taking for granted, for the sake of this video, that hell and heaven were not created by God. They were pre-existing. God resides in heaven. Hell is somewhere else. There's not really a good definition for what hell is, just basically descriptions of why it's really, really bad. Can you take it literally? I don't know. What does it actually mean? I don't know. Again, the Bible was essentially, when describing heaven and hell, was trying to describe a higher level of being that we just are physically unable to comprehend. We never will be able to comprehend it until after we die. And since there's not a whole lot of people coming back, we have no eyewitness accounts of, hey, what is it like in our terms? I don't even think you could describe it in our terms. It would be something that we have no frame of reference. We wouldn't be able to understand it at all. That being said, basically this is my theory of how it works. Sin essentially taints our soul, for lack of a better word, the part of us that does live on. It could be some form of energy. I don't completely understand it. Again, there's nothing that even comes close to explaining this. But essentially what sin does is it taints us in such a way that we are unable to go to heaven. It's just a physical impossibility. We have to be cleansed of sin in order to get into heaven. Hell is just the other place, is the only other option. It's like you either go to heaven or you go to hell, and you're gonna... I don't think it's a punishment. I don't believe that. And there is some evidence to back this up. Specifically, before the time of Christ, they had to go through 10 million different things to try to cleanse sin from someone. You required a blood sacrifice, and things of that nature. Which after Christ, that all stopped. I mean, that all ended. The sacrifices ended. You didn't have to do that anymore, because Christ came down and died on the cross for our sins. He sent His Son down to give us a way to get into heaven, because He knew that the vast majority of people, in huge numbers, would never be able to make it into heaven, because they would never be able to there's people like me. I wouldn't be able to go out and do sacrifices. I can't go out and kill an animal. It's just not something I'm capable of doing. And I think a lot of other people are that way. And he foresaw that, and gave us a way out. So through Jesus Christ, we are able to cleanse the sin from our souls and get into heaven. This is a really, really bad analogy, but it's the best one I can come up with on short notice. It's kind of like if you put gasoline into the tank of your car to make the car run. If you stick a plastic bag with gasoline in it inside the tank of the car, it's not going to do anything, because it won't be able. There will be that barrier. Basically, sin would be effectively like that bag. The gas being our souls, and the bag being sin. It's a barrier that would prevent us from getting into heaven. There are other things that are more complex that I'd have to actually think about for a while to actually get a really good analogy going. But it could be different forms of energy. I don't know. I mean, without a thorough understanding of what the soul is, from a scientific standpoint, these are not questions that can be answered. But everything I saw, God does not want us to go to hell. He is not vindictive. He's not generally vindictive. The times that he has been, he has regretted it, and he has, altered his ways to not be that way anymore. Again, I've used this before, but in the flood, God got angry, flooded the world, killed everybody, and then he looked down and decided, and he regretted what he had done after the fact. So he's like, he didn't want to do that anymore. It hurt him to do so. To use your parent-child analogy, he doesn't want to see us burn in hell. He wants us with him. But the thing is, there are a lot of things that I'm sure are not in the Bible that are, again, this is speculation, but it kind of fits. It seems somewhat reasonable. It's just he doesn't want to see us go to hell. So he's trying to give us every opportunity to get to heaven, because he wants us back with him, because he does love us as his children. He created us and everything. Now, from a scientific standpoint, it may not really be a supernatural thing. It may just seem that way to us because of, to use an evolutionary thing, we would be much lower on the evolutionary chain than, say, God. So it could just be us evolving into death could just simply be our way of evolving into a higher form of being, a higher form of life. And that would have rules similar to, like, the laws of physics, but things that we can't comprehend, as you have mentioned, because these are things we have no knowledge of them. There are forces around us that we don't see. We don't know what they are. We can't perceive them. So, for most of us, we feel people believe they don't exist. I could rattle off a dozen different examples of things that have happened to me in my life that, according to physics, are impossible. They can't happen. There are things in life that can't be explained very easily. I don't know how much more I can really say on it. I don't know how much more to describe it, because a lot of this on the nature of heaven and hell is speculation, because it's not really spelled out all that well. In any form, whether it be in religion or in science. It's one of those mysterious things that we kind of have to try to figure out what makes the most sense, what kind of fits what we do know. Hope this kind of addresses your questions and concerns a little bit. And I welcome any comments. Anybody has different opinions, or correct me on anything I was mistaken on. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.